Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Suzerain. With me, your host, Parallax. So today, we are on the tail end of quite the negotiations. The last episode, we talked a lot about trade deals with our good buddy, Angolia. We talked about how that alliance with these guys and that trade deal is going to piss these guys off because they want this island right here. I guess it's more their side than it is their side, but how they conquered it from them, I have no idea, because they apparently have like a really good navy. It doesn't make sense, right? And if they have settled it from colonial periods or from, antiquity, then that's theirs. They don't really have a claim to it, so kind of a dick move for them to be like, hey, give us your island. But anywho, last episode was a lot of trade. We had an interaction down here with Whelan. These guys right here, they're going down the wrong path, but they need help. We kind of want to help them because it's going to give us a lot of money, but the international community might not really like us because, of course, we're helping somebody going down the wrong path. We pretty much decided that these people we're not interested in anything they have to offer. They're oligarchs, and all they care about is the money. And as soon as we become not profitable, or as soon as this place, Rumberg, becomes more profitable, they'll sell us out, right? So we're probably gonna work with these people in a limited fashion. We're not gonna piss these people off. Whatever they do, we're just gonna grin and bear it because we don't have the resources to fight them. So we're not gonna secede land, not doing that, but we are gonna just passively resist these people. We're going to try to get a trade deal with them, and then we're going to try to make these people see reason that that's not their island anymore. But that was in the last episode. This episode, we have no idea. Terra Incognita. We're going to push the continue button here, and hopefully good things will happen. Nope. Trials of Democracy does not sound like a good chapter. It should be more like, yay, democracy, or democracy is here. Trials of Democracy seems... It would be cool if there was a bunch of dice rolling going on behind the scenes during that, where I don't want to play this game and make the same choices and get the same reactions. Like, it'd be neat if there was a little bit of dice rolling to it. Okay, so we have 5 more news articles from Sorlin today. Police have arrested the principal of a high school in... Can you show me where that's at? Okay, I think this is the area. I guess I have to click off of it. I think this is the area down here. We haven't really heard from this area a lot. I knew there was a lot of political unrest here. I knew that unemployment out here was bad. Unemployment and infrastructure out here is super bad. I know that this area is really good with farming, like they're starting to make money for us, but I didn't know anything about down here. And our economy is not being fixed, and we sent out the stimulus checks. It took us $1 to send out those stimulus checks. I don't know why our economy hasn't bounced back from that. But anyway, let's see. A principal was arrested where 12 students died after eating a free meal laced with pesticide. The students aged between 15 and 17 died after eating a lunch of a local dish cooked at the school in the poverty-stricken city. Police have started the investigation to solve the mystery of how the pesticide ended up in the food. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Is that border? I don't think they would poison children just for fun. I don't think they had a hand in it. It's got to be our political unrest. It's got to be more red youths versus whatever they are, the young Sorlins or whatever. Time for women to stand up. Yes, we are going to be working on women's rights. Yes. Don't worry about it. Questioning Solist education. This is what we want to read, right? Like this Solist guy, or Sol, not the best guy, right? I mean, he got us through some tough times, but after that, he became a little bit corrupted. When the attention wasn't on him anymore, he kind of made it on him by doing some radical things. So I'm kind of happy to see that. Upcoming government budget changes. As the top economic experts in the country, we have been watching the upcoming changes to the government budget very closely. President Rain's first internal economic challenge lies ahead, and we will see if he can prove his capabilities as a leader who can think ahead. The potential ramifications of diversing the funding to certain government branches has always been a point of contention. Yes, yes, yes. What? The Prime Minister has made a statement that, oh no. Our dutiful Coast Guards have rescued a crew member of the missing vessel. Through his statement, we have learned the ship's unfortunate end was none other than... Oh no. Oh no. So now these tensions are actually ramping up between these two. So if we ally ourselves with them, we risk having a two-sided war. Them versus, like, if these two guys sit down and, like, at a table and they decide, like, hey, I'm going to take the north, you're going to take the south, and we're not going to intervene and help either of them, and we're going to use our combined power just to force them to capitulate, then we're screwed. Great army, great navy, two chumps in the middle. That's not a good thing. Okay. Okay, alright, let's see what we got out here. Communist books burned in... Alright, not a good... That's not good. You don't need to burn books. Burning books is not really... I mean, it's not... That doesn't really do anything. Reports lack of hospitals. Yes, I know. In the rural areas of our country, people who are sick, they can't get medical treatment because they're so far away from infrastructure. Oh, good news, good news. Security units have arrested 3 priests at 2 different sanctuaries. After finding links to insurgent activities, the reports came from an elderly man who wanted to pray in peace, but instead found himself invited to join Freedom Front by a state-sanctioned priest. Oh, that's not good. You know, it just sucks that all these ideologies have to come to one area, and they have to physically fight in this one area. Like, we got the communists, we got the socialists, and we got the fascists, and all they want to do is, in our country, come to a head and just beat the crap out of each other. And all that's going to happen is, sure, the fascists are going to beat the crap out of the socialists and the communists, and they're going to win, and then this guy's just going to come walking right in. Like we have to be united against these people. Like, it's so dumb. Recession hits farmers again. Farming industry has taken another hit. With the recession, there are reports that 16% of all wheat is rotting in barns due to lack of buyers. Farmers are requesting additional funds from the government to... We were just told that down here, this place was making money, and now we're told that we can't sell our wheat. I find that very, very, very difficult to believe that we have people who are literally starving up here, people who are literally starving right here, and people who are creating a surplus of food right here. I find it very difficult that we can't just ship that north and have these people at the very least, eat bread. See, there are some things about this game that don't make sense, and that is absolutely 100% one of them. And if we have money, we can buy the wheat and ship it north. Like, that's not a problem. Or these people can come down here. Well, this is why the highway is needed. Like, we need to have the country needs to be connected, and roads connect before railways. Except for, like, in America, when you had a bunch of people take, like, horse-covered wagons all the way out to the west coast, then the trains were desperately needed. Just imagine. I know I've talked about this before, but just imagine being able to hop on a train somewhere in New York and then get all the way out to San Francisco, or at least like was it Carson City? All right. A mass counter-protest against the Young Swords, led by local politician known as be aligned with the Red Youth, resulted in many injuries and property damage. Subsequently, Young Swords and the National Front Party flags were burnt, which caused tensions to escalate. Local police dispersed the protesters by sundown. Good. All right, so we kind of got an idea about what's happening. Can't sell wheat, and then everybody's pissed at everybody and is beating each other up. And these guys blew up one of their fishing boats. So, great. Barbecue with Frank. That's on our plate for today, is the barbecue. Okay, here we go, guys. It was a Saturday afternoon, my first break from work in what felt like years, and the weather couldn't have been more perfect, trying to keep my mind off the upheaval. The sparked by the assassination. This was the assassination of the poet, the communist poet. I lit the backyard grill. Monica. Who is it? Oh, my kid. We're out shopping for craft supplies, and I'd given the staff the day off. It was just myself and Frank at home. Oh, this is our son, and I think our son's become radicalized. Or if he's not radicalized now, he's getting there. I wasn't sure how he felt about me at the moment, but I did know how he felt about barbecue ribs. Our cook had left some marinating in the refrigerator. Sure enough, as soon as Frank glimpsed the grill and the meat, he stepped outside to join me. Come to spend some quality time with your old man, have you? Well, look who's finally out of his room. Sure, if you can spare a few minutes out of your busy schedule. Look, son, I'm preoccupied with matters of national importance. Children who talk back to their fathers don't get dinner. Fan the flames, will you? I'm sorry. I know I haven't been around very much lately, but yeah. It's okay. I know you've got the most stressful job in the country, and you've got to feed your family on top of all. And you've got to feed your family on top of it all. Here, let me try. He grabbed the fan and started quickly waving it over the coals. The fire roared to life. He turned to me with a grin on his face as if he was expecting praise. Not bad, son, not bad. Good job. Thank you, sir. It is our utmost interest to fulfill your duties with precision. The grilling shall commence in exactly 1 minute and 32 seconds. Oh, that's like the first little tidbit of his personality that we've got. Oh, yeah. So he's impersonating Luke. Yeah, I was just going to say, he would have a lot in common with Lucan, but I guess he was being snarky. Or not snarky, but cheeky. I guess cheeky is the word. I realized my throat was parched. There was a 6-pack of beer in the kitchen. Get up and grab a beer. I opened it, sat down, and gazed out at the city skyline with my son. For a moment, my thoughts flashed back to my childhood and my relationship with my own father. My father was a hard-working man and always had our best interest in mind, or at least that's what he always said. But he had a temper and would lash out at my mother in fights, and I could hear them from my bedroom. By the time I was Frank's age, we seldom spoke. Now that I was president, I was facing more stress than my father ever had. I would have to work hard. I would have to work hard not to take my frustration out of my family. Sorry about that. My mind wandered halfway through that sentence. I thought I could put it on, like when you're driving, you're like, oh, I'll just think about something else while I drive. I'll get home. Don't worry about it. I was reading the sentence and I was like, oh, I know what this sentence says. And I thought about something else that's been on my mind for a bit. And I crossed the streams, unfortunately. I apologize. Dad, can I ask you something? Your family, you can ask me anything. It's just, I feel like there's so much you've been hiding from me about your past and about what's going on right now. Like at dinner that night after the ball, you told me everything was under control, but it wasn't, was it? I know what happened in the 20s. We learned all about it in school. Now with the protests and riots, it's going to be the same thing. Dad, is there going to be another civil war? No. I will never let that happen. And I 100% would, like, if it came down to it, and you might think less of me, but if I'm sitting here in this game and there's going to be a standoff, right? Like, let's just imagine the communists beat the fascists, right? Beat them up, killed them all, huge massacre, rounded them up in one night, just destroyed them. But they couldn't do that to the socialists on the same night. They just didn't have that manpower, so they took out the fascists, right? So there was no more fascist element, or there is, but it's like 2%, 4%. It's minuscule. And it's just the communist and the socialist. And the communists kind of have us by our throat. And they're like, hey, we're going to push a button. It's going to be a long, drawn-out civil war. And a lot of people are going to die. I would just be like, fine, you win. Like, I'm not going to let the country be completely engulfed in a civil war. Like, I would just capitulate and let... And, the communists, like I said, like, you don't have to have your way right now. You can be patient. And if the communists start running the country... they start doing a bad job and it's just not going well, then people will see that. They'll be like, this is not the answer. And yes, the communists probably will start killing people and imprisoning them because of political dissonance. Like, I get that. But, maybe they don't. Maybe they it's a new normal. Maybe they do a good job. But what was it like back then? Uncle Peter said that 2 of you went through a lot. I'm not a kid anymore. You can tell me. Images of soldiers advancing towards me and my friends, weapons drawn, of people I knew, friends and neighbors being dragged through the streets and murdered in alleyways. The shock and grief on the faces of fathers, mothers, and orphan children. Those were dark times. Yep, let's talk about it. Tell Frank about the coup of 1927. Tell Frank about the Civil War. We'll tell him about the coup of 1927. I was barely older than you are now. Studying history at the University of Culture, I was a freshman, excited and young. I just left the classroom to go back home, and I heard the sound of multiple vehicles approaching the campus gates. As they got closer, I realized they were military camouflage trucks and tanks carrying hundreds of soldiers. The same soldiers that were supposed to protect Sorlin citizens pointed their guns at us. They immediately took control of the facilities. One of my friends asked what was going on and was arrested immediately. More people got angry and gathered in protest. Tell him about the soldiers beating you. I was there with the protesters as they declared martial law. We marched toward them. They threatened to use force, but we stood our ground. So they started beating anyone they saw, including me. The physical wounds took a few weeks to heal, but the mental scars stayed with me to this day. I was lucky. I was one of the lucky ones. Some of my friends were shot. Many were arrested. I can't forget the screams to this day. It was right after I met your mother. We had joined the same political debate group to push for change after the coup of 27, but over the next year, the state of Sorlin deteriorated. People started picking sides, and I tried to stay away as much as I could. Then one night it happened. Two different factions in the army, one of them led by the fascist General Ludrin, and the other by the socialist General Ricard, started fighting against each other. It was a bloodbath. Nowhere was safe. People organized protests either for or against Ricard, and I heard about the clashes the next day. Many of my friends were shot or arrested. I isolated myself for months. And that's enough for today. It's okay. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have asked you about it. I know I don't understand how easy my life is sometimes. One more thing, though. I know that you managed to not take any sides. Do you mind if I ask why? I didn't want to be a part of the violence. And I think we just said it 2 seconds ago, right? When we talked about how we would capitulate. You just don't want to do the violence. Sorry for bombarding you with questions. I know I complain sometimes my problems are nothing compared to what you went through. I'm here to listen to them no matter what they are. What problems? Let's do the I'm here to listen to them no matter what they are. Yeah, if we just said what problems, I'm sure we'd have got the same thing, that mom and daughter would have been home, and it would cut us off. All right, I'll be upstairs until dinner. Oh, can we follow him? Oh, we can't. Oh man, I really wish we could have followed him, like upstairs and like, because he said I'll be upstairs, and we should have been able to follow him and been like, hey, let's keep talking. All right. The mayor of Moria has reported that their industrial output numbers this year are 12% lower than last year. They are requesting additional support to improve their industrial capacity, including machinery and personnel to combat the downward trend. You have people right over here who are unemployed and starving. Don't understand. Like, hey, folks, you guys want to... Okay, here's how it goes. These people come over here and they start working and they start producing, right? The means and stuff that they produce and that they make, like the money that we make by selling that stuff, goes over here and it buys the grain that's rotting in silos. So then these people get fed. These people pay these guys over here and they get paid, the dock workers, and then that money goes to the farmers, so the farmers get paid. So the farmers are getting paid, they're eating and getting a job. These people are getting their numbers up from 12%, maybe even to 0% or plus 2%. We have, all you gotta do is just do it. Just move the people around. You go over here and advertise like, hey, it's the TVA, it's a Tennessee Valley Authority. I'm frickin' Delano Roosevelt. Yesterday at around 11 a.m., a prison riot started in Ward C. which was eventually suppressed. Ward C is generally used for keeping political prisoners, and riots started when a warden was killed. Was killed by a Blutish political prisoner. 4 guards and 21 prisoners died. Wow. 134 were injured. This situation is just spiraling out of control, and I feel like we're not actively, I feel like we're not given enough options to actively combat this stuff. I feel like it's just one report and one horrible thing after the next, and we're impotent. Like, we can't click on this and say, okay, this is how we're going to fix it, you know? We have to just wait for everyone else to chime in. Many members of the USP and the reformist wing of the party clarified their demands from the government in the party Congress for the upcoming constitutional reform. Stated that without ministry reforms, they won't be able to stand behind the new. Okay, well, we'll look at ministry reforms. That's important. So we'll look into that. We have a visitor, so just hang on un momento. Okay, folks, we're back. Disaster averted. Okay, let's look around. I think this is our only thing here. And of course, it's going to be a confrontation with these jerk faces. Presidential visit to Narbell. I was traveling to the snow-covered city of Narbell region for the Rural Development Forum organized by the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education. The mountainous city of Narbell had gritty tones to it. It was mostly regarded as one of the more poorer cities of Sorland. Its people were hardy and wary. Even after the discovery of natural resources in the area, years of neglect by the central government were apparent on the buildings and the general infrastructure. Natural resources, namely gas and oil, were now under the control of which elevated the corporation to a place of power. My task in this forum was mainly symbolic: fake smiles and handshakes with oil barons, meeting with local politicians, but most importantly of all, to make sure that Narbell does not feel like it has been forgotten by the government. The secretary so far, however, was a reflection of Narbell's neglect. Main roads to the city were not maintained well. There were many bumps and empty, discolored spots in the asphalt. Navigating and swerving to avoid the inconveniences, our motorcade finally started to near the city. As if my discomfort from the bumpy ride was apparent, Sergey rolled down the partition window. "We'll be arriving at Hotel West in a few minutes, sir. Thank you for letting me know." Okay, give me 1 second. "Anytime, it is my duty." After a moment, Sergey started to smile under his mustache. "What's the smile for?" "Sir, I just wanted to say it has been these last 2 months. It has been great these last 2 months. Why? Why, Sergey? Why are we getting sentimental all of a sudden? Like, what's happening?" "As you know, my wife, Susan, recently gave birth to our son, sir, and now my daughter just started a very good high school, and..." Okay. "Get ready, Sergey, because life is about to become a lot busier." "Great news, Sergey. I'm happy for you." "Appreciate it, sir. Truly, I was worried that I wouldn't be able to afford a good private school if she scored less in the entrance exams." That's a lot of schools do that. My wife, I'll tell you a story. I hope she doesn't mind me sharing, but her dad knew that he was gonna have to pay to send her to high school. So when she was in middle school, he bought a herd of sheep, and he told her, like, it's your job to herd these sheep. And she did it, I think, for 5 years, and she grew the herd from 12 up to 60. And then when she had those 60 sheep, he went and sold all of them, and the money that she made, he put it aside. And when she made her, like, when she sat for her high school entrance fee, she scored like insanely well and did great on it. So she almost didn't have to pay anything. It was more of a symbolic amount that she had to pay, just so you know, it wasn't free. Like, she scored like top 1, and her dad, like, when she came back home, you know, and they got her test scores, her dad was like, "What? Like, you don't need any of this money, you know, like, I could have paid for your high school." So she bought her dad an electric scooter, like that money that she had made, that she bought him an electric scooter. But a lot of places do that, where you know, the more you, and then we do it with our colleges, right? They call them scholarships, but a lot of places do it for high school. "But I wouldn't have made my insecurity get to me. Erica outsmarts me all the time. I'm very proud to have my daughter like her." Oh, he's talking about his daughter. Okay. I also hope that Mia will grow to be like her mother one day. That means she must have taken the smarts after her mother. I do not value insecurity in my employee. I'm sure she will, sir. After all, she is the daughter of a lion and a lioness. Ooh. My daughter looks up to the First Lady for inspiration, and it's not just limited to my daughter, sir. She is an inspiration for almost all women in the country, but at the same time, it must be hard for the First Lady as well. All this attention, adjusting to a new high-profile life and a husband that great responsibility. You're right, it's hard for her. It's hard for both of us. It must be, sir. We sometimes forget the important people in our life between all the responsibles and the rush. You know, those we care for. Bridget continued after a moment of silence. Have I told you, sir, we named our son George? I don't know what that is. The doctor said it was very healthy, and thankfully so is my wife. That's good. I hope the hospital had a good service. Tell me about Susan. What kind of person is she? Yeah, why not? She's a good heart. Her family comes from Sara, so they are more traditional. Oh, that's a place. Yes, that's the agrarian place. I really like her selflessness. It is preserving. It can be inspiring at times to have a partner like that. It should be mutual. That's what matters the most. Sergey sighed. I already started thinking about her, about their university education, especially Erica. I want to send her to a good private school, but the current state of the economy is going to be hard for us. We will fix the economy one way or another. I'm not doing that. Yeah, I can't. That'd put me at 0. If I had 3, I'd be more than happy to go down to 2, but I don't have it. We'll fix the economy. And really, university is 4 years away. A lot can happen in 4 years. A lot. For you young kids out there listening, please understand that if you're sitting there and you're in a bad place, 1 year from that bad place, your life can be insanely different. Or if you're sitting high on the hog, 1 year can change all that, right? It's you just gotta make good choices and be consistent. And it's always okay to start over. Even if you say, you know what, today I'm going to go run. You get up and you don't go to run, or you do run, but only for 2 minutes. Always okay for the next day to say, you know what, new day, new me, going to go for a run. It's always okay. If anyone can, that's you, Mr. President. Yeah, we're going to fix the economy. It's going to be okay. The car hit a major pothole and a bump, which lifted us up to our seats for a second instead of talking. And yeah, this is unacceptable. We need to invest in infrastructure here. Are you fine? Yes, sir. I hope the car's fine too. We're not going to commit to saying stuff like we shouldn't do the stuff there. It's okay. George got out of the car and opened the door. He bowed his head respectfully and gestured toward the entrance. Thank you. Have a good day, Mr. President. Almost immediately, everyone present in the crowds flocked over to me with an expressive display of courtesy, smiles and handshakes while I donned the mask of a politician. No, politicians don masks? I don't believe it. Oh, okay. All right, so that was just, oh, no, there's more. There's more. I was like, oh, that's really nice. But we do have, okay, young swords, the site of a terror attack, got it. Recently outlined their demands for the reform package. He declared that without the implementation of term limits and limited decrees, it would be very difficult for him and his party to stand behind the reform package. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I think we talked about that twice now. I'm sorry. Protests appear calmer. Really? As protests continue nationwide, tensions ease in some cities. Still, several major cities, including yada yada, have some scattered reports of violence on Monday. Well, that's good. Okay, attacker opened fire on protest, 17 dead. So we went from 17 dead to they appear calmer. Authorities have made 9,000 arrests. Jeez, crazy. One of the most anticipated matches between was postponed because of the intense protests in the city. Yeah, that happens. Shocking misogyny rally. Every day we apologize how deep the roots of misogyny goes in our country. For his crime. He's still alive, by the way. This soul dude, he's not dead. Labor unions rights march like that. Undemocratic elections of sort. What? Oh yeah. We vetoed that law that would distribute election funds, but this is saying they have to have a threshold of 10%. Listen, I don't think that's bad. Having to have a threshold of 10%, if you can't get 1 out of 10 people to agree with you and vote for you, I don't think you should be, because here's what's going to happen. If you let the 1% get in there, imagine if they're just hate-filled people and all they want to do is just undermine. Like, I don't think everyone deserves a seat at the table if they can't get at least 10%. Like, I want everyone to have a voice. You know, I really do, but we can't, this can't be we can't be a circus, you know. That's a seems like a paradox. Our educational team, oh, this is education, privatization proven successful. Yeah. I'm all about private colleges and private schools. I think that's great. But also I want there to be a robust, I want there to be great competition between free public school and private school. Oh, look, the highway's halfway done. Are you kidding? This is halfway done and we've not had a single, like, oopsie doodle, like, you're behind schedule or you need more money or something blew up. Halfway done. God, it's amazing. Amazing. I'm so happy to see that. You have no idea. So happy. All right. Briefing on the current welfare situation. We sent out those checks. This should pop up in here, right? Like, obviously. I arrive at the meeting room for my talk with, these are the health, I think it said, Department of Health and Department of Urban Planning, maybe? Rural or something? I don't know. These are my ministers. Before beginning, I took a moment to appreciate the view from the balcony. The mountains of Narbell were completely covered with snow. Tourist attraction and skiing. Thank you. I was mesmerized by the scenery. Walked up to me. This guy is an author. Oh, he's Ministry of Health. So, yes. So he's health, right? I knew he would be here. I knew it was health. There it is. My Minister of Health was, unironically, somewhat portly, having gained a few pounds since his breakthrough as a best-selling writer, but his authority on social affairs could not be questioned. Such a spectacular view. It's education, not urban development. Education. Joined us from the balcony, dressed in a sky blue pants suit. Her preference for trousers over dresses had made her the subject of much palace gossip, but it didn't seem to bother her in the slightest. Spectacular indeed, but if you look at the opposite direction, you will see that Seoul's decade of neglect has done to the city. Most of the people living in Narbell are workers, farmers, and their wives and children. Okay, workers and farmers and their wives and children. They're breaking their backs to close for no pay, all thanks to greedy corporations. My intention is to help the working class. I'm glad to see eye to eye on this issue. If you look past the view, you can see the real problems. Real problems like poverty. Your education, and here she is talking about poverty, when the health minister seems like would be more inclined to talk about poverty. Nodded gravely. This was a subject he knew quite a bit about himself. His best known books were about the plight of Sorlin's less fortunate, drawing from his own past growing up in squalor. Well put, Miss Walda. I don't need to tell me about my own experience with poverty. I'm sure of the similar stories. I'm right, Mr. President. We knew less fortunate families, even though we belong to the middle class ourselves. Well, we've all gone through difficult times. You don't have to be born poor to sympathize with the plight of the impoverished, much as you don't have to have been born a woman to recognize Sorlin's need for partly among the sexes. There it is again. It's like party, but it's parity among the sexes shouldn't be our first priority. Look at how many high-ranking female politicians the country has. Appearances can be deceiving. Think about how I've got her current position. I don't necessarily believe that the rumors about her and Soil, but she never risen so high she didn't parrot his calls. Yeah. So there you go. I told you I didn't like her, that I felt like she was too much of a soilist, and that she wanted to bring back the old ways. But this girl, she puts a really good pin on it that she has to say these things to keep her position, and if she doesn't, then bye-bye. Is it an accident that the first female assembly speaker is such a staunch conservative? And then there was Alfonso. Habit of promoting women to prominent positions to give Switzerland a progressive sheen while accomplishing nothing in reality. Okay, I get it. Women are screwed over. Meanwhile, those of us who don't... You see, this is the weird part. Is like, if you're standing in front of the president, would you really be this candid? Like, would you really just be throwing it all out there? Like, if this lady, right? Like, if she was coming up and working up the ranks, and every time she was in front of her boss, she was just like, this is bullshit, this is bullshit, this is bullshit. And it was like, well, probably not, because her boss would be like, wow, this person really complains all the time, and all they see is a negative, and they just beat you over the head with it every single second they have you in front of them. Like I don't think they would do their job. I think they would just spend too much time being bitter. Like, some of this stuff doesn't come off as natural. At some point here, I think she should like bite her tongue and be like, oh, like she should say, I ask you, Mr. President, does anyone care if your Miss Gill doesn't have a wife? Like, oh, she's getting pissed because everybody thinks that she's a lesbian and that she doesn't have a husband. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like this comes off as bitter, and I don't really know if, and that's just such a trope, right? The bitter woman, right? Like the bitter woman in high, and I guess, you know, all these are tropes. This guy's a health minister, but he's fat. Like, I don't know. All right. Leave Lucian out of this. You veered off topic. Yeah. I'll just say that, because that's exactly what I was saying before I even read this. You have veered off topic. And again, like, you tell her that you veered off topic, you're trying to get a situation under a more professional tone, and she immediately is like, no, I'm not. He asked, and I get to say this because he asked. And where was I? Yeah, I don't think I don't think this woman would have risen to the ranks if this was her attitude in front of all of her bosses. Okay. If we could stop the recession, create jobs and growth, the capital must prioritize toward the resources. Crime. Yeah. Yeah, I really don't want to have this conversation with her right now. Like, I want to get back on topic of what we're doing here. I guess this is what we're doing here. I guess we are going to start deciding the future of this region, not in a cabinet meeting, but just, is that what it was supposed to be? I can't even scroll back. Oh, I can't scroll back up. Do I want to go all the way back up? It doesn't seem like it's super fast. All right. That can prove useful, but we need to be doing a lot more. Education has similar issues. There is another subject I want to mention. I have been working on improving the rights of workers in our country, and I have proposed a draft bill that is currently being reviewed by our party. Has already backed me and given me his support. Soren has fallen behind most countries on this subject, and it's my responsibility to ensure that it's not the case. I agree we will improve the standards for our workers. There's always room for improvement, and it's good to hear that you are pushing for it. We shouldn't upset the businesses who are already being screwed over. Sounds like a costly bill for such a low priority issue. Yep. Excellent. Switzerland must provide for its own people to move forward. I agree. It's also a matter of life and death. Every decade we hear of some horrific accident due to employers' disregard for their workers' safety. So you would back the bill when it arrives on your desk, Mr. President? I would be very interested in supporting it once it is finished. To make a decision, I would need to evaluate the contents in details. Understandable. You will receive the sections in an outline. It's getting a little cold out here. Let's head inside and continue our discussion. Okay, so I guess we were here to talk about this. The meeting room was already prepared for state business. Small gifts for each of us had been placed at the table by the municipality. We took our seats. Let's start with our health overview. As you wish, Mr. President, Switzerland has a free healthcare system except for a few private hospitals operating under it. Most of the populace receives adequate treatment. Health issues primarily appeared in rural areas due to lack of quality services. I'm doing my best to ensure that citizens of all ages receive the best health care they can, and I also personally want to solve the high infant and maternal mortality problem. How many hospital beds are there per 10,000 citizens? What is the life expectancy and mortality rate? Our life expectancy is 65 years, and the infant mortality rate is a worrying 85 per 1,000 births, while our maternity rate is 90 per 1,000. So 85 of our kids per 1,000 typically don't make it through childbirth, and 90 of our moms don't make it per 1,000. We can to save mothers and their newborns. Those numbers are saddening indeed. I agree. We must do everything we can. I expect nothing but your best efforts to improve the situation. We can't keep saying that we want to do everything we can, because we can't do everything we can all over the place, because then we'll be stretched too thin. Okay, I believe him. How many doctors and nurses are employed? 31,000 doctors and 73,000 nurses. I would think that number would not be double. I thought it would be triple or quadruple. This is a high number, which what I think is, I don't want to be rude, but out of those numbers, how many are in urban and rural areas? Let's not interrupt each other. Yeah, this lady, she needs to, like, I don't know, like, here I am, I'm gonna get canceled. I have 125 subscribers, and here I go. I get the idea. Oops, I hit the spacebar button. I hope that didn't do anything. It didn't. Like, I don't want to come off as a jerk, but I understand wanting to write a powerful character, or you want to write a no-nonsense character, but I don't like the trope of it's a lady, she's a lesbian, and she's a no-nonsense, no bullshit. I'm gonna cut in and like dominate the conversation, right? Like, I don't dig that. Like, I don't think that's I don't know. I mean, it's a trope. I get it. I don't like it, because all the other meetings, and this is nothing I'm just coming up with now just to say I don't like this person. I've said it time and time again that you're the president, so you need to not talk like about family and friends and all that when you're in the department meetings. When you're in the department meetings, it should be business. It should be very straightforward. It should be clear-cut language, and people should know where you stand. There should be no hiding and two-faced talk and, oh, this is something that we might come back to later. Well, let's circle around to it. Like, it's, no, this is not a priority right now, or yes, this is, so people can understand and start writing policy based on how you feel and how you want the country to move forward. So with her just like jumping in and interrupting, and I'm like, hey, we're not going to interrupt each other, and then for her to like still to just jump in and do it again, it's like, you know, let's not interrupt each other, please. That's not a problem. The number of doctors per 10,000. Oh, he's saying it's not a problem. Yeah, I get that. As compared to urban areas, treatment time is still too high due to low numbers. Your education, okay? If everyone, like, if I could have another cabinet meeting with 7 other people here and they could just shit all over you all day long, but it's not going to do anybody any good, right? Bite your tongue and let me get done talking to this guy. I don't need you to jump in here and, like, I can figure these things out. It's just rude. I don't like rude people. Treatment time still is too high due to the low number of doctors in rural areas, which gets barely any proper coverage. How many hospital beds are there per 10,000 citizens? There are 10 beds per 1,000 citizens, which is a very good number according to our comparisons to other neighbors. Good. We see a lower number in the countries. Yeah. Okay. Are hardly countries. Yeah, here she goes, interrupting again. I want to hear about the education system. With pleasure. Georgia's education is free, but we have a very outdated system that I want to reform. The other important issue is the lack of access to education in rural areas, especially for young girls. Your administration has the power to solve both problems. My highest priority is to get enough funding to be able to build schools in rural areas while I cleanse our education system of its nationalistic indoctrination and sexist teachings. How many students to teachers? Currently, there are about 5 million students. 3 million in primary education, 1 million in secondary, and 1 million in tertiary. There are 155,000 teachers to 5 million. We should keep striving to make education available for all. I think there needs to be a change in the view of thought. We should help children to question and educate themselves. What is the literacy rate? 80%? Not great. Not great. Yes. I played another game very, very similar to this called Democracy. And all democracy is 1,000 little bubbles. And every bubble is attached to another bubble. And when I clicked on literacy rate, I think I did Democracy Africa, so I was playing an African country. I can't remember the name. I don't even know if it was a real name. It might have been just a general, like, distribution of what African countries typically look like. But I clicked on it and it was like a literacy rate of 75%. And I was like, cool, 75%. And then the little helper thing was like, that is a horrible, horrible number. And I was like, oh, okay. I thought that was great. It's also far lower among girls than boys. If I remember correctly, the most literate areas are England. Okay. All right. Illiterate. Yeah, I was going to say, this is West Virginia. Why is it the most literate? But it is not. So the two areas that are pretty much like agricultural based are those two, which means that this place up here is not as bad. The place that we're in is correct, although use statistics for the okay, right. So there's a Lashaven is down here, and it's like a super big city with a thriving populace, and then out here it's there's nothing. So she's saying that because so many people here can read, that doesn't really matter out here. They skew it. Like, this really should be broken up to west and east. What's the name of this region? I don't know what the name of the region is. Oh, there it is. Nargis. So there should be west and east Nargis. That's how we should. It's the imaginary line. Tell me about the difference between the urban and rural education. Urban areas have 3 times the number of schools per 10,000 people compared to rural areas. Rural areas also suffer from a lack of teachers. I can imagine teachers not preferring desolate areas. Salaries for teachers are very low here. We need to increase their pay to give them more incentive. Right, I believe this is everything. I hope both of you are preparing your reform plans for improvement. She took a deep breath. I'm not really interested in listening to what she has to say. She's talked a lot, and she's given her opinions on a lot of things, like suffer in silence. I hope both of you are preparing your reform plans for improvement. She ignored my statement. Look at this in Proverbs City. The streets full of potholes. Yeah, so these people right here, these are the people who need to look beyond. Like they're gonna get swallowed up by the. They're gonna look at the picture, and the picture is gonna be so big and so overwhelming they get swallowed up by it. She needs to compartmentalize what she's feeling, and she needs to find an area to improve, and she needs to focus on that and make sure that follows through to fruition. You know, like we know it's a bad situation. Standing here and talking about the bad situation is not going to make it any better. This is not just about Seoul or even Alfonso. This decay in Sorlin's foreign regions has been going on for many decades due to structural corruption, which is fueled by capitalism. Yeah, let's not get into an ideological debate. We need to focus on the issues. One cannot be separated from the other, Mr. Rain. President Rain. The issues stem from the ideology. Oh, I love it. No matter, like, we ignored it. We didn't want to ask her what was up, but we're here anyway talking to her. One way or another, we need to transform. Greed and unchecked capitalism will not magically provide for these people. Yeah, the game is making me not like her, and it's going to be hard for me to support her in the future, which is going to be to the country's detriment. The low quality of healthcare in the rural areas, so I created a draft plans to increase the salary of doctors and to upgrade the equipment in the hospitals. I can do more with an increased budget. Additionally, a privatization plan to promote private investment in the healthcare system could allocate extra funds. Isn't access to healthcare in rural areas an issue? Quality of healthcare is less fortunate areas matters more. Access is an issue, but not as critical as the quality in these areas. The lack of experienced personnel or equipment caused bad treatments, resulting in many deaths. I do hope to create competent and increase the quality of healthcare with the privatization effort. A private healthcare system would increase the price of treatment and make access worse for the average citizen. The decision not to promote more state control would cost the people dearly. My plans require an increase in the government budget. I aim to solve the problem with the highlighted. Why is she? I feel like these two Why is she weighing in on healthcare when she's education? By building schools in these less fortunate rural areas and fundamental changes in the education system, I will unlock the potential of all of our children, boys and girls alike. Yeah. This brings hope to the table, which needs to be followed through by action. There is much to be done, and if we are given the budget, there will be opportunities to implement policies that push education to the next level. Wouldn't a promotion of private education help create additional funds? Yes, but at what cost? I am not a supporter of the private sector in education because at the end of the day, they are focused on profits first. My expectation from our government is that we understand the focus and the needs of the people. Hold on one second. All right, we're back. Maybe I came at this wrong. Maybe I'm having a really bad morning here. This is I'm making this video right after I went to sleep from those two horrible Surviving the Aftermath videos, which I was so tired. Like later I went back and listened to them, and you can just hear me just going, oh, that, yeah, that. Like I just so out of it. But maybe this morning I came and I sat down, I was in a bad mood. We are elected representatives of our people, and we will provide and we will prioritize their needs. There is another significant issues that we need to focus on, like security. I appreciate your briefings and plans. We will reconvene at the budget meeting. Mistress, Freudian slip there. Minister Walda. I have bailed out people in need instead of businesses. Trust me, our priorities are correct. It has shown your dedication, but there are many areas ahead of us, many years ahead of us. This is just the beginning of the journey. Look at this. Look how dismissive she is. Thank you for your time. I do hope we won't repeat the same mistakes again and again. Have a good day, Mr. President. Yeah. I don't like her. Like, I know she's pissed, but she just has no tact. No tact. And it's horrible because I consider myself very much like her, where I have no tact either. But I don't know. Gotta dose my own medicine. I don't like it. All right, we're going to end there. Thank you so much for watching, folks. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one. Sorland, I would love to tell you that things are improving, but I just don't feel like we're getting a lot of choices to do anything. Like, I feel like most of our stuff is just talking and saying things, but we're not putting pen to paper, you know? Like, we're not doing presidential decrees. We're not helping pass laws. Like the first 100 days in office is your highest political capital. Like the first thing we did was build this highway, which is great because it's halfway done. I can't wait to hit the continue button and hopefully see this thing get all the way to 3/4 of the way done. You know, and if it finally gets built and it's on budget and on time, holy smokes, I'd be so insanely happy. I could just sit there and be like, look, you got yourself a gigantic highway all along this area. Like, go use it. Get out there and drive and consume. Anyway, have a good day, folks.